Hello again.
Hey, part 3. That's
Part
the first
three.
ever part 3.
And we touched earlier on how black and ethnic minorities are more affected by COVID-19, and that is not a biological thing, that is about a socio-economic issue. And another thing in which we're going to see people being more heavily affected due to socio-economic reasons, I think, is something that's happened um, that people have been told, people who previously up until now, people who are in vulnerable categories, who have been shielding,
Yeah.
who have had food, care packages and things made available to them by the government.
Been given priority status for deliveries of groceries and lots of other things that allow them to sort of stay home and shield properly.
Some of these have now been told you are no longer considered to be part of the shielded category, and they've been informed of this not by their doctor but by a text message of all things.
Yeah, absolute bullshit. This is in England, we should say. This is not happening in Wales. So in England, from tomorrow, Monday the 1st of June, quite a lot of people who were shielding are now able to just do what they like within the rules. That's not a decision that has been made for... It's not because it's safer. It's because that was costing them money.
Discovery made to go people with brittle asthma or
and the thing that really disturbs me about that is that was actually one of the steps that they had in their... I mentioned previously there were 5 levels of risk. So 5 we never actually hit yet. Which was where the NHS is overwhelmed and it's essentially COVID is beyond control within the population. 4 was where we're still at, by the way. 3 was where they were supposed to be able to ease some restrictions. We weren't supposed to be saying that vulnerable people can stop shielding until we're at level 1, which would be basically all outbreaks are contained and traceable, so that there's no real risk to people who are immunocompromised or have ongoing health issues that might mean that if they get this, they'll be much worse off. And these aren't necessarily, these are quite common health conditions. Asthma, for one, because it seems that one of the main things that is affected by COVID-19 is your respiratory system. Anybody who has existing respiratory issues was put on the shielding list, quite sensibly. Understandably, that's really difficult for those people who are shielding, but it is because if you get this, you're almost guaranteed to need to go to hospital with it. Because you already have issues that this will massively exacerbate. There are other people who have no underlying health conditions who've had to go to hospital with this, and I'm still hearing people banging the drum for, it's okay, it's only the elderly and the infirm.
As if those people don't matter.
Okay. Let's assume for a moment that you are incapable of caring about anyone other than yourself. That still could be you. You still could be one of those people. Yes, the odds are in your favour. They always are. If you're fit and healthy, the odds are already in your favour. Just as anything. Fit, healthy people die of the flu. It happens.
You could be one of these people with an undiagnosed underlying health condition that you weren't aware of because it's undiagnosed.
Yeah, they're easing lockdown restrictions to a worrying degree. There's now talk of pubs reopening later in the month, which is insanity because, 2 things. Firstly, lots of people gather in pubs. It's indoors. So they said, pubs with outdoor beer gardens and stuff. Okay. But what you will also get there is drunk people gathering. Drunk people are not going to effectively social distance. They are going to make poor choices. Pubs should be one of the...
Gardens is one thing, but if people are drinking beer, they're going to need toilets.
Going to need the loo.
Those toilets aren't in the pub gardens.
No.
And we've seen already the way people have behaved on beaches.
Yeah.
If that is any indication,
then
pubs are not going to be a good place to be
people are
for a
already
while.
going to be drinking in gardens, and that's going to cause issues. I get it. It's sunny, and you're not allowed to go out, and of course, everybody's been at this for a long time and everybody's fed up. But just because we've been at it a long time doesn't justify relaxing it too soon, because it's so short-sighted because it's not going to solve the problem. I get the feeling there's pressure coming from above, i.e. coming from party donors and big business, which have always been the people that the Tory party have looked after before anyone else. They're not making money and they want to be making money. But even if you look at this from an economic perspective, economists are saying if you relax this too soon, it's going to trigger a second wave, which is going to mean a longer lockdown, which is going to mean more damage to the economy. But like, we can't do what we needed to do, which was go fast and go strict, so that you can. So we can't do that. So the best thing we can do is get this to a manageable level. Which, if we had a workable track and test system in place, that would be one thing. But it isn't up to the task yet. So wait till that is doing the job reasonably well, so that it's catching, say, 95% of at-risk people, and everybody else we can pick off gradually. But we're not there. It's still, we're getting, for like there being 2,000 odd new tests, new cases confirmed via tests a day. That suggests there's probably, because of how many people are asymptomatic, they suspect that means that there's about 8,000 people being infected with this a day, give or take. And some of those are asymptomatic, and some of the people they infect will be asymptomatic. So that means basically you've got to kind of, you're looking at a quarter of the numbers of the people who are actually spreading this, and that's under lockdown. So if you ease lockdown, that's going to increase, and that's going to cause the number of cases that become hospitalised to increase. That's going to cause the death rates to increase. But when you get to the stage where we were nearly at back in April, where we're not going to know that it's got out of control until it's already out of control because of the incubation period, and you can't take it back once it's out there because people are already infected and don't know it. So we shouldn't be easing. We should be easing restrictions, if at all, one little thing at a time, so that you can see the reactions to that, and if it's okay, then you ease another one. You don't do several at once, because then you don't know which one's the one that's making the most damage. So then you have to just go back full lockdown anyway.
Well, Boris Johnson had his big fireside chat where and there was lots of graphics that they threw up, and he kind of tried to say we're going to be following the science, and it's going to be about the R rate and the 5 things that we're looking at as to it, and it just seems like they've abandoned that and they're just ploughing ahead.
They have. This is going against the science. Sage have advised against this. The medical boards have advised against this. The nursing unions and the doctors' unions have advised against this. And the argument that I'm hearing from a lot of people who are for releasing lockdown is, well, eventually lockdown is going to have other casualties, that it's just not worth it at this stage. It's going to have economic casualties, which is going to lead to suicides and mental health problems and unemployment over a long term, which is going to have health effects on everybody. All of those are valid worries, but unfortunately, if you do this wrong, we're going to have those anyway due to the due to the second spike and the length of the next lockdown that is going to, basically the alternative is you just let it get to triage and let it get to the stage where there aren't enough beds in hospitals, and you let people die at home because there aren't enough beds for them, and it's literally going, do you have any other underlying health conditions? Right, you don't get to go to hospital then, you just have to die at home. Do you have children? No. Are you of child-rearing age? Okay, yeah, maybe you get a bed. It's going to come down to that. If you let this go everywhere, because, yes, 95% of people won't need to go to hospital, but there's 67 million of us. And we have one of the lowest intensive care beds per capita of Europe. So we have fewer intensive care beds per capita than Italy did, and Italy was overwhelmed. But they got this first before anyone had time to prepare. We have time to prepare, and we're fucking squandering it. It's insanity. I keep saying, this is not coming from somebody who wants to stay in lockdown. I don't want to stay in lockdown. I want to do loads of stuff that I can't do. But I know that I have to, and even if they relax lockdown here, which thankfully they're being really cautious about, I'm still going to be really careful because.
Well.
No, and again, it's not because I'm worried about myself. I'm worried about who I'll infect. I think I'll probably be fine, but that's not who I give a shit about right now.
The thing is, if they relax the rules, that doesn't mean it's safe. That means the government decided that you are allowed to do a thing. That is not they haven't got a vaccine. The infection rate hasn't particularly gone down drastically.
No, they still recommend.
It's
they still
just
think
saying
at
you
best
can do this
it's
now.
between 0.7 and 0.9.
So if you have any kind of common sense, it feels like you would just go, okay, well I'm allowed to do that, but for my own safety and for the safety of others, I probably.
I'm only going to do it if I absolutely have to,
and
I'll be super careful if I am.
People will have to, and that's why I say, when it comes to telling people they're no longer part of the shielded category, that is fine if you're wealthy and you can kind of go.
I'm going to still shield.
I'll still shield actually, but if you're in a position where you're being told I'm being booted off the shielded list, I'm not going to get the food packages, I'm not going to get the priority for the online shops, and I'm vulnerable and I've got to go out to work, and it's terrifying, it's horrible. And
because also that category, being in a shielded category, gave employers the ability to sort of put you not just on the furlough scheme, but they could essentially put you on long-term sick, and you could still be paid and all sorts of like protections for you. That's all gone. So even the most sort of scrupulous employer might be in the position of, I needed to have the admin to prove that you were on the shielded list to do this by you, and I can't. So people are going to lose their jobs, or they're going to be forced to put themselves at risk, which isn't a choice that people should be having to make, really. It's just not. And it's not that it's backed up by the science. It's not. None of this is backed up by the science. Oh, hello, there's a little cat's coming.
Hello.
Which we probably needed. It's been quite a grim one today.
Yes,
but
we could
it's
do a little cat.
Yeah, like I say, I think
nice.
That's why I'm not going to say it's poor mental health. I think it's a legitimate reaction to stimulus. Like, the world's gone mental.
Well, this is it, isn't it? Like, it's reasonable to be feeling a bit down and a bit confused by things right now. And sorry, just stroking a cat, you don't mind me, but we were talking about, we mentioned the pubs potentially reopening, and something that I think kind of ties into that is that...
Can I just say for the record, this is as two people who really like going to the pub, by the way.
Bloody love the pub, mate.
Bloody love the pub.
Miss the pub, if anything.
I'd love to go to
Lovely
the pub.
times though. I was watching a TV show today where some people got some photos done in like a photo booth.
Missing the pub
I'm
photo booth.
going to the pub and have some fresh photos done in a while.
You're going to be able to see the before and after, and it's going to be me significantly fatter.
More, just us both looking more sort of stressed out.
But a lot better at doing my own makeup now.
Well, there you go. But it's a weird time, isn't it? And it's like, we'd like to go back to the pub, but the point I was going to bring up is that they're now saying they're going to restart football from June the 17th. I talked yesterday about horse racing, and now they're saying and it might be that they'd already announced the football yesterday. I know and care so little about sport. I don't know, but I've subsequently found out, having talked about horse racing yesterday, that they're going to be restarting football on June the 17th, and and I'm sure there's again economic pressures being brought to bear, but are they going to be doing it?
They're flag waving that's going to be really good for morale. It's not good for my morale.
I mean, it's good for morale if you like football. I like live comedy. They're not bringing that back for morale. It's, do you know what I mean?
Not then theatres open for morale.
No, I actually been able to. And someone said on my Facebook today, and it's a very fair. Actually, it's Kate Smurthwaite, the comedian, who we recommended to our friends up in Edinburgh, and they really enjoyed her show.
Yes, right, yes, I'm with you.
And very funny, but she said, they're bringing back football. They're allowing sort of 22 men to go out and play on a field and contact sport and do all this, and there's referees and they're going to travel across the country to be there and all of this.
And they're going to go to neutral stadiums apparently, so that people don't congregate at the home stadium in like pubs and locations around them, but then that's both teams travelling across the country and Kate's point is that they're allowing people to kind of 22 men go and do this, do all the rest of it, but she can't go, and give her boyfriend a hug,
you know, and what's better for morale? What's more
Yeah,
important?
what's going to affect more people, like in a positive way, is going to be saying, tell you what, you can have one nominated person in another household that you can have physical contact with.
But you know, and when they were talking about horse,
like that would be amazing.
It would make a big difference. And when they're talking about horse racing,
put a caveat in if you're living alone. So like, okay, I can't hug my mum, but she lives with my dad, and hopefully they occasionally have a hug. But maybe I can go and give my gran a hug. She's living on her own. She's 97. She's been on her own since March.
But like, hugs are bad, but sliding tackles are fine. That's the rule. That is the rule. But it is crazy, and just.
Yeah, like there'd be ways that you could put because that would, I think, across the board be better for morale. Yes, of course, it's going to affect more people and it's going to involve more household mixing. I see where they're coming from, but then, okay, don't reintroduce football.
Because that is 22 men and a referee and linesmen. That is 25 men from different households all coming together, travelling across the country to do it. And
visibly and kind of telling everybody things are going back to normal. And I don't think that's a message we should be sending.
And these guys can interact. And I talked about horse racing yesterday. At least horse racing, you're going, well, the jockeys are on different horses and they're social distance. You know, you kind of have to social distance in horse racing because you don't want the horses to collide. You know, and they're going to be turning up in horse boxes, and they'll have different trainers.
Oh,
and
you with all your expertise on horse racing.
I don't want to brag, but I've seen horses before, and you know, I can kind of rationalise how they could do that in social distance. Yeah. It's not going to work with football. No. And I realise, I say this as a wrestling fan. Wrestling has been ongoing throughout all of this.
But you've said from the start, even though you love wrestling and you've really appreciated being able to still watch it through all of this, that you don't think it's a good idea that they're still doing it.
If they had stopped it, I would approve. Yeah. And I would be willing to forego my wrestling
for them carrying on with it. You're like, well, I'm gonna watch.
Yeah, it's happening. I'm gonna watch it. I don't want to fall behind and everything. It's not as much fun without the crowds anyway. If that makes you feel any better. But like, I don't want to be a dick about it, going like, you can't have your football even though I've got my wrestling. But the wrestling shouldn't be going ahead, and the football shouldn't be going ahead. And also when they're doing it, obviously behind closed doors, there won't be a crowd there. But when you factor in the idea that they're going to be trying to open pubs, and you go, well, okay, no one's going to the stadiums, but the minute you put football on, that is more incentive for people to crowd into pubs.
Having pubs open, but having a strict 2-drink limit. We're British, mate. Have you met British people? Like, I was going to pubs when I was 15. Nobody was even checking my ID to get in. They're not asking how many drinks I've had.
Yeah, we're British, mate. I had a 2-drink limit at my preschool.
Well, like, I'm not saying that with any element of pride, but it's just a fact. Like, you can't stop British people drinking. And the more people spend time in a location drinking, the less they're going to socially distance.
Well, my thinking
it's just stupid. Come on.
If they can only have 2 drinks at the pub, they'll just do more pre-drinks at home.
They'll just drink more at home,
so they'll turn up
hammered
at the pub drunk, then they'll have their 2 drinks, and then their team will score, and everyone will be cheering and hugging and celebrating. It just...
Yeah, it's bullshit. Right, we should maybe go to... Well, I just kind of want to maybe ease on to something a little bit more fun.
Okay.
Before...
Is it time for nipple talk?
It is time for nipple talk. Hey, it's time for nipple talk. You've been waiting for this. You had to listen to all the serious stuff.
You've been waiting for this.
So that you could get to the nipples. Yeah, you didn't know, but we knew.
Basically, I've been the one in our household who's been doing most of the shopping and the dog walking, and I'm happy to do it. Well, I'm not always happy to do it because sometimes it makes me
You're happy to do it instead of me doing it?
Yes, but...
Because you're a good egg.
Sometimes people do not social distance responsibly, and that is frustrating. But today, I will say I went for a walk to the woods, and it was broadly fine, but...
How does this come to the topic of nipples, pro tell?
Well, I tell you, because there was a guy striding through the woods quite confidently with no top on, nipples out.
It would be weird if he was wearing pasties.
Yeah, that would be weird. But the thing is, and you know, it's hot weather.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't a guy. He wasn't buff. He wasn't looking like a gym bunny. Is that the expression? I don't know.
I think it's normally the girls that are gym bunnies.
Okay.
But
he wasn't a gym hair.
That's not the male. A gym buck.
A gym buck. He wasn't a gym buck.
I don't know. That's not a term, but it should be.
He you know, he was a flabby, sweaty-looking guy.
Right.
I don't mean
I've
to throw
got
any. I don't mean to throw any shade. Like if I
No
took my
body
top
shaming
off
going
in
on
public,
there.
I would probably look like a flabby, sweaty guy, particularly in this weather. But
You're my flabby, sweaty guy,
thank
and I
you. Ah, but
love you.
and I've seen this. You know, this happened to be in the woods, but I have in the past seen topless men. You know, like in supermarkets and shops and things, in hot weather. And you know, and you can see the sweat glistening on their hairs, on their arms.
Oh,
and,
God.
You know, and you're around,
It is worse if they're hairy as
you're
well. I don't know
around
why it's worse.
groceries, mate. Fucking hell. And every time I see a topless guy in public, it reminds me of the Free the Nipple movement.
Yeah.
Where women kind of campaign for the right. You know, well, men can go out with their nipples in public. It's not on that women can't.
Nipples shouldn't be sexualized, and they're just a normal human part of anatomy. And yes, we've got different chests to men, but men have got different chests to women. Why is it okay for them to have theirs out and we can't have ours out?
Men
I get
the
theory behind the Free the Nipple campaign.
I am all for equality, right?
Yeah.
I am. But what I think is, rather than saying women all get your tits out for equality, maybe...
That's paraphrasing.
I'm paraphrasing.
Okay. Women, get your tits out for equality.
Get your tits out for the equality. But I'm...
Yeah.
What I'm saying is...
Yes.
Rather, instead of that, for equality, why not... Maybe the sweaty men could just put a t-shirt on.
Yeah.
Like, we're all hot.
I'm on board with this.
None of us like being too hot, but like...
I'm so on board with this because
I
don't
to wear clothes in public.
Yeah, I don't like that look. There's an element of envy because there's well, I wish I could just walk around with my top off because I would be a lot less hot. And we've got to deal with boob sweat. You don't have to deal with boob sweat unless you're a particularly ample man. But boob sweat is a thing that is very unpleasant. And you don't have to deal with it. And we can't air these babies out. So we've got to wear our tops in public. And we do so fine. It's really galling when you're wandering about with your top off. And I think I said the same thing to you earlier. Yes, we would be denying ourselves the occasional glimpse of a nice looking chap with his top off. I can live with that because it's never those guys wandering about with their tops off. It's always hairy string vest types that look like I don't want to see your bare chest at all.
And I think
the fact that you can have yours out and I can't, like, it's kind of bullshit. Like sort of saying Free the Nipple because even if I could, I wouldn't, because even if it's like not illegal and not like subject to censorship, I'm still gonna get pervy leering men perving and leering at me, so I'm not gonna have my tits out. It's a shame because they're wonderful. They really are. But I can't have my tits out.
Honestly, you should see them, but you can't because of this whole
Free the Nipple
inequality.
No.
Terrible state of affairs.
But yeah, I think in the spirit of equality, rather than like exposing women to leering, let's make men put it away, chaps. Put it away. No one wants to see that. Like, I think children should be allowed to have their tops off, because also some people get really weird and say like young girls, like 5-year-old girls need to wear bikini tops, and I'm like, no, they don't. They haven't got anything to put in them. Shut your face. Stop sexualizing 5-year-old girls, you fucking weirdo. No, little girls just as much as little boys in like paddling pools or in swimming baths, like they can have their tits out because they don't have tits. Like, come on, guys.
They can't have their tits out
because
they do not have them.
Yeah, it's bullshit. So, like you can't be, so up to a certain age, let's say 9, anyone can have the nipples out. After that, everybody in public has to keep their nipples in. Other than on specified areas, nudist beaches, all of that, fine, wherever you like. Go for your life. Because it's consensual, not just the showing of your own, but the seeing of other people.
And maybe, I don't know, maybe swimming pools are an exception where you kind of go like women can free the nipple and men can free I don't know, like maybe
I'm down with that.
Because if men are wearing just swimming shorts, maybe women can just wear swimming shorts or whatever they fancy.
I think that's fine, yeah. I wouldn't expect men to cover the nipples in a swimming bath.
In town centres and
In a shop.
supermarkets.
Like, yeah, you're around groceries, you're sweating all over everything. It's gross. Stop it.
It is gross.
It's not gross because of your body. It's just gross because you're just
you're
sweaty and gross.
Because you're human and we're all a bit sweaty and gross sometimes.
Yeah, but I'd be getting the boob sweat all over the grapes, and so I don't do it.
I saw you remind me the comedian. I think it was comedian Tiff Stevenson.
Who?
The comedian Tiff Stevenson.
Tiff. I thought you said Tiss, and I thought that was a very unusual name.
She tweeted something about, it's so hot. I've just been standing holding my boobs up in front of a fan.
Yeah.
And I responded to that saying it's always nice to see a comedian making time for her fans. But,
good line.
Thank you.
I've done that. I've held my tits up for the fan because boob sweat. It's a real issue, guys. Anyone who's above maybe like a B cup will know what I'm talking about. But Jesus Christ, this is not good weather. It makes my fibro worse. It makes parts of me sweat. Oh God, it's really grim. It's not sexy. This is not sexy talk.
Heat, isn't it? It's too much, this heat.
It is. It's like, oh God, I've got Australian relatives, by the way. By the way, guys, it's about 25 degrees over here.
Yeah.
So, like, this is why I don't come and visit you in summer. I'd die.
We would not cope. We're both very pale, and neither of us respond well to heat. and this is on a day. I mean, I'm wearing like quite a sort of, well, it's a t-shirt.
Oh, but it's like it's a sportsy one.
It's a sportsy one. It's back when I used to do sportsy things.
It's supposed to be breathable.
This is when I ran a 10k in Cardiff, and there were so many people around, and then we went for an all-you-can-eat meal in a all-you-can-eat buffet in Cardiff, where there was remember you can be around people, those are the days. But they gave me this t-shirt, and it fitted me better at the time because I've been exercising regularly. But the point is, like, in this heat, I'm wearing this t-shirt. If I had to go to work right now, I would be having to walk to the town centre and then commuting on a train and then going to work, and all of it in like a shirt and a tie, and I would be so even more uncomfortable.
You should put your tie on when you get to work.
That is true. That is an option. Yeah.
Like I used to have to wear a tie to school because it was part of the uniform, and like.
Thing is, I don't. My job, I have to wear like a shirt and work trousers, and like there's a certain expectation of like uniform, and I don't even resent. Like, I know they do that because they think it looks smart, and the customer expects people to look smart, and I don't even resent my bosses for making me do that because I understand that is what the public expects. I resent the public for expecting it. Like, the public, move the goalposts. Members of the public come in their shorts and their vests and whatever, and yet
nobody's ever come into your work with their top off, though, have they? Has anyone come for a
I can't think of specific examples, but I wouldn't be surprised if there has been times in the last decade where men have come in without tops.
Nobody's ever come into the escape room with their top off.
And certainly if they've come in with tops, certainly people are coming in with like vests or like, and tank tops or like quite skimpy outfit, and yet they would be judgy about me if I wasn't wearing a tie. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that's a real fucking shitty double standard of, I don't know.
Yeah. We've banged up to I think at this stage, you guys are just getting like, because we're having a glass of wine. I felt rubbish all day today, and then I sat in the garden, and for the first time today, it was kind of like somebody flipped a switch, and I suddenly felt human. And then Chris got back from walking Lucy and sat in the garden with me, and we chatted for about sort of 10-15 minutes, and then I just went, should we have wine in the garden? Because also I was talking about some of the heavy stuff, and I was getting a bit emotional.
To be clear, we didn't chat for 10-15 minutes and then Ellie suggested wine. I would say we chatted for generously 3 minutes before Ellie suggested wine.
What are you going to call me out like that for?
Yeah,
I haven't had wine for a few days.
I haven't had wine since like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Had a whole day off wine.
2 days off wine.
Was it as like, really?
Yeah, I didn't have any the day before either. But now the fact that I'm quibbling over it looks worse. Right, screw you. But yeah, it was a heavy day, and I sat in the garden and I was like, right, but now all my point is now you're just seeing us hanging out. Like, I think the semblance of vlog has fallen out the window. We've done a half an hour when this was the third part, so we should definitely shut the fuck up.
So long. I think it's fair to say, though, in your defence, that you're a functioning alcoholic, and I'm willing to support you through your drinking.
Dude. He doesn't actually think I'm an alcoholic.
I barely think you're functioning.
Oh, God, I handed that to you on a fucking plate, didn't I?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was going so well. Now I'm angry.
That's not a good place to stop. Now I'm angry. Stop the podcast and then we row.
This
And
isn't
then
a
tomorrow
podcast,
it's
Dad.
just whoever survived.
I reckon
it's
I could
not a
take you.
podcast. Yeah, I reckon you could.
Not today, I could.
Lower
I'm
centre of gravity.
feeble.
But just because I'm tall.
You're not tall.
No, I'm not.
You're
really.
just taller than me.
Yeah, exactly. That's all I mean. In a world where there is only 2 people in it, I am the tall one.
You are the tall one.
And let's face it, that has been our world for weeks and weeks now.
Yeah. Oh God. Tomorrow though, I'm allowed to go and be in my parents' garden.
Oh yeah, we're gonna actually visit someone. Right. Well, we'll talk about that tomorrow then. Yeah. God,
More than one of them at once as well.
If you're still watching in the fucking hour plus of this vlog now, part 3 of today, then, like and subscribe. You obviously have found something in it to kind of keep you tuning in.
Hell, if you're still watching, share it. Tell other people.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, Lucy just made a
made
very
an
odd
insane noise in the corner. Anyway,
Okay,
like and subscribe.
like and subscribe.
There's no shame in it.
Boo.